evening, you're watching News 360 and the news is coming your way earlier than usual to make way for the first FIFA World Cup semi-final between France and Spain. I am Portia Gabo.
Good evening to you. I am Noble Crosby Annan, and these are the headlines of the bulletin this evening.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
EcoBank.
Coming up, 3 pre-tertiary teacher unions demand payment of 20% deprived area allowance by September 2026.
And also coming up tonight, GN Savings lawyers describe decision by Supreme Court to halt restoration of their license as unfortunate.
In business news tonight, finance and tax analyst warns Ghana must avoid a return to unsustainable debt and painful restructuring.
On the international front, EU bans purchase, import and transfer of gold from Sudan to curb financing for country's civil war.
Welcome to the program. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. You can join us there as we get interactive and settle for the details.
In our very first story, the 2028 campaign director of Dr. Bawumia, Dennis Miracle Sabuaje, is likely to spend another night in the custody of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, as his lawyers struggle to raise bail bonds for his release nearly 24 hours after he was granted a 50 million cedi bail with 3 sureties. Earlier today, EOCO officials took Dennis Sabuaje to one of his residences at Latte to inspect the house as part of efforts to meet his bail conditions. My colleague Christian Yale has stayed on this beat since yesterday and has joined us for updates. Christian, thank you so much for your time. Are officials back from Latte yet?
So they are yet to return from Latte, but let me even put it across and just some bit of education about why officials today went to visit his house to make that inspection. Now, the clarity is that that is a standard bail execution procedure. Now, the intent around EOCO officials going to visit his house is to allow the officials the opportunity to identify the various places that they can locate Dennis Miracle Sabuaje after he has been released, and whenever the need arises for them to trace him. And so that is just one part of the procedure to getting him bail, but it is not really directly linked to more or less meeting the bail condition. What it means is that EOCO officials, before they would finally release him after he had met the bail conditions, want to know the various places that they can locate Dennis Miracle Sabuaje. That is something that happens for any other bail execution procedure whenever or before anyone who's been arrested would be released. And so that is done. We know that it is the sureties who would have to come with landed documents, and then they'll have to go through the rigorous process of being scrutinized, and then the checks will be done. In some instances, after they had presented the landed properties, Lands Commission would be involved and other authorities to ascertain the veracity of those documents that they present before a bill would be granted. My interaction with sources with the team indicates that as of now, they may be on the way returning back to Accra, more or less, because then we know that still unofficially or officially, we've not received any confirmation yet that he has been granted bail or they've been able to meet the bail conditions. Portia.
Christian, what's the current situation at the premises of Iyoko as compared to yesterday? Do we have supporters demanding for his release there today?
Portia, and so as you can see, the organizers have rented a public address or a PA system, a sound system, which they've just brought and more or less seeking to energize the supporters who are here. In fact, for more than half a day today, from morning till somewhere around 2 p.m., the place was entirely empty without anybody here. Later around 3 p.m., 4 p.m., that is when I saw a number of vehicles arrive here with some of these supporters brought to still press the demand for the release of Dennis Miracles Abuaje. And just a while ago, we saw this public address system, the PA system brought in as well to more or less jamboree or help the supporters who are here. In fact, the police, as I cited a while ago, are trying to move the vehicle from the frontage of Iyoko more or less to ensure normalcy or preserve law and order here. So that is the situation we are still keeping tabs on, Portia.
Christian, thank you so much for your time. Christian Yale reporting live from the premises of Iyoko.
Those are some other stories tonight, and lawyers for the GN Savings and Loans Company Limited have described as unfortunate the decision of the Supreme Court to halt the restoration of their license, adding that they remain open to exploring other avenues. Earlier, a 5-member panel of justices chaired by the Chief Justice granted a motion for a stay of execution of the order of the Court of Appeal. Lodudwa Asare has more in this report.
The Court of Appeal, by unanimous decision in May, quashed the High Court's ruling which upheld the revocation of GN Savings and Loans license, effectively restoring the license. The court also directed the receiver to hand over possession, management and control of the assets and other activities of the bank to the shareholders of the company. The Bank of Ghana, together with the receiver, however, challenged the Court of Appeal's decision and filed an application to stay the execution of the order pending the hearing and determination of the appeal. On June 16, the Court of Appeal struck out the motion to stay the execution, giving the company the leeway to resume operations. The parties again escalated the matter to the Supreme Court, seeking an order from the Apex Court to stay the execution of the Court of Appeal's decision. A 5-member panel of justices, chaired by Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni on Tuesday, held that there are still substantial issues to be determined and that it was proper to stay the execution of the Court of Appeal's orders. Reacting to the development, lawyer for GN Savings and Loans Company Limited, Clet Zalenga, noted that further action would be taken.
Unfortunately, with this decision now, it will mean that we have to hold on again for a while whilst we wait for the substantive appeal to be heard. But of course, I mean, there are other avenues which we can explore. In the meantime, we are taking steps to get a certified copy of the ruling that the court delivered today. And then once we have that, then we can really advise ourselves and see the way forward.
The latest order by the Supreme Court will remain in force until the final determination of the substantive issues before it. The Apex Court's ruling effectively halts the operationalization of GN Savings and Loans Company Limited temporarily as its license remains under contention. Lodudwa Asare, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now go to the labor front, where 3 teacher unions are calling on President John Mahama to issue a directive for the payment of the 20% deprived area allowance for teachers. According to the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the National Association of Graduate Teachers and the pre-tertiary teacher unions, they expect the 20% allowance to be paid by September this year. A report by Daniel Opoku.
There are more than 300,000 teachers across the country. Out of this figure, more than 100,000 teach in rural and deprived areas. These teachers face indecent working environments, which consistently imparts teaching and learning. Some of the teachers commute long distances to school, affecting contact hours, while others have to cross rivers to access their schools. This compelled the teacher unions in 2009 to propose a 20% deprived area allowance on basic pay. Since then, the allowance has been included in their conditions of service, but successive governments have failed to implement it. Currently, the government has renewed its commitment to ensure the amount is paid. However, the teacher unions are extremely concerned that the government continue to pay lip service to the issue. The General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, Thomas Tanko Musa, asked government through the Fair Wage and Salaries Commission to act swiftly.
Children in the deprived area, they are over 3 million. They are under trees. And the teachers there too, the 20% allowance that should be given to them too has not been given since 2009. It was one of the reasons why we have written that by 17th, fair wages should come clear on this matter. It is part, this one, the president has given us his word that it should be done. Not only that one, but the promotion from the deputy director rank to D2 and then to D1 and other related matters should all be resolved. These things can no longer wait.
President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers in Agrat, Jacob Anaba, expressed sadness about the slow pace of implementation.
Do this promotion thing that we talked about, deputy director, president gave a directive and they were sleeping on the job. We have to force. So I'm calling on the president with all humility. If he believes in what we advocated for and he thinks that that will change the system that we are running today, that a rural child will have a teacher in front of him or her.
Vice President of the Pre-Tertiary Teachers Association of Ghana, PRETAC, Adokwe Awule, called for action on the matter.
The condition that some teachers are going through, those who cross rivers, even circuit supervisors, CISOs, school inspectors, support officers, will not even visit those schools because they cannot even commute to go and visit the teachers there. But you go there and you find a teacher. Sometimes one teacher teaching everything at the JHS level. Sometimes two teachers. They are doing everything in the school and they are not receiving any benefit. So please, the minister has said that we want to see action.
Responding to questions in Parliament on Thursday, July 2, the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, assured that the teacher welfare remains a national priority.
And now, there is growing momentum to curb the increasing influence of money in politics as funding for presidential and parliamentary bids continues to soar. A three-day high-level regional convening on money in politics in Accra is underway, seeking to proffer practical policy solutions that is aimed at strengthening transparency, accountability, and democratic integrity.
The growing influence of money in politics is one of Africa's most pressing democratic governance challenges. The voice of the people are in most cases often swayed by the highest bidder. This is not only peculiar to Ghana, but also affects other African countries. Some countries have implemented robust legal frameworks and structural reforms to regulate unregulated money in politics. In addition to individual country laws, the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption outlines continental standards to outlaw illicit financial flows and the use of covert money in democratic processes. Stakeholders, including anti-corruption leaders, policymakers, electoral management bodies, and political parties, have met to prefer practical policy solutions aimed at strengthening transparency, accountability, and democratic integrity.
The need to recover exorbitant campaign costs often drives elected officials to engage in systemic corruption and embezzle public resources, draining the national treasury, diverting funds from much-needed socio-economic development and worsening poverty.
Conscious, empowered citizens are less likely to be influenced by money. So as we tackle the legal frameworks and governance, let us concurrently build the capacity of our citizens. Let's empower them economically so that our people will act from their hearts and minds rather than their stomachs.
Deputy Minister for Finance, Thomas Nyako-Ampem, spoke on behalf of the Vice President, Professor Nana Akyen Opoku-Agyeman, says money is gradually weakening political equality, replacing equal votes with unequal financial influence.
If we add all the activities we perform, what we do before primaries, elections, before D-Day election, I'm sure the researchers are generous, and the amount of 700,000 has been grossly understated.
Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin mentioned that even legislators are unhappy about the solution but are handicapped.
If the president has to spend, he says, $100 million, that is an understatement. You have to get at least a pickup for each constituency. Then how many constituencies do we have? 276. You have to get four-wheel drives for the leadership of the parties in the regions and the campaign teams. You need four-wheel drives. And your campaign team, you need some and some on standby in case there's a breakdown or accident.
The high-level meeting represents the next complementary phase of the UNCAC Resolution 11.7, moving the regional discourse on political finance beyond symbolic commitments.
Now to politics, and the national chairman aspirant of the New Patriotic Party, Paul Afoko, says rebuilding the party is essential to strengthen Ghana's democracy. At a news conference, he noted that only a united, inclusive and well-resourced party can regain power in 2028.
Former national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Paul Awentami Afoko, says his decision to seek the party's top office is not a campaign of personal ambition, but a mission to rebuild the NPP following its electoral defeat. Addressing a news conference in Accra, Paul Afoko said he has spent months engaging party faithful across the country in a reconciliation effort aimed at restoring unity and confidence within the rank and file. The former chairman said his vision is to build a stronger party capable of recapturing political power in 2028.
Ghana needs a party ready to return to government, not for power's sake, but we seek power for the potential of power to impact the lives of our compatriots positively, with humility, with courage, and faith in God. I formally announce my intention to offer myself for the position of national chairman of the NPP, subject to the party's rules and processes.
Paul Afoko rejected suggestions that leadership from Northern Ghana should be viewed as a disadvantage.
Indeed, having a presidential candidate from the Northeast region and a national chairman from the Upper East region should not be seen as a weakness. It can be a powerful statement that the NPP is truly national and truly inclusive and truly ready to expand its appeal.
He further pledged to support parliamentary candidates, reclaim lost constituencies, identify winnable seats, and provide resources to resolve internal disputes before they deepen into lasting divisions.
The duty before us now is not to blame. The duty before us is to rebuild this party. When I'm given the honor to serve again as national chairman, I will work to support our presidential candidate and restore confidence in the party from the polling station to the national level.
Besides Paul Afoko, others contesting for the NPP national chairmanship include former Energy Minister Boakye Jako, former General Secretary John Boadu, and former Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Entwi Bosiako. Stanley Niblo, TV3 News, Accra.
Tonight, the Minority Leader Alexander Hwinyo-Making is calling for a comprehensive national sanitation policy. He's also demanding that the Finance Minister accounts to Parliament for the disbursement of the 350 million cedis allocated for flood response.
Mr. Speaker, you may recall that the Minister of Interior, when he made a statement on this flood situation, indicated to this House that government will come with a comprehensive policy on this flood situation and how to address it. Mr. Speaker, I submit that it is not enough to declare 2 days for the purpose of cleanup. The cleanup exercise is not a solution. The solution is a well thought out policy on sanitation. That is what we need as a country. And it is becoming too late in the day. Any government determined to solve a problem the magnitude of which we saw would, without delay, announce a national policy on sanitation. Enough of the knee-jerk posture, the ad hoc measures. Mr. Speaker, we don't need them. Thousands lost property. Maybe because they are not public servants, they are not politicians, we are not talking about it. Many poor people lost their property. Many poor people lost their business. We need the government to rise to the occasion and address the nation on this matter. Mr. Speaker, the second issue has to do with accountability.
Away from Parliament, years of illegal mining have left several of Ghana's major water treatment plants struggling to produce safe drinking water, with heavy siltation threatening water supply in parts of the country. With treatment costs ranging into the millions, the Ghana Water Company has secured funds from the Ghana Gold Board to rehabilitate 3 critical water systems under the first phase of a partnership with Ghana Water Limited.
Silt and mud have forced the temporary shutdown of a number of Ghana Water Company treatment plants. With the effects linked to the ravages of illegal mining, the Ghana Gold Board has committed to help return a number of treatment plants to full health. It also supports the institution's corporate social responsibility agenda, which is aimed at environmental restoration and safeguarding critical national infrastructure.
It was brought to our attention that illegal mining activities have resulted in significant degradation of certain critical water bodies and water infrastructure, particularly in the eastern and central regions of our country. And this has affected the quality of drinking water for the inhabitants of such communities. We are talking about major water treatment plants that, per the information we got from the Ghana Water Limited, are completely silted and cannot process, water for drinking purposes.
The first phase of the project targets Bunso, Daboase, and the Setraheman water treatment system, where years of illegal mining have caused severe siltation. The intervention is expected to restore their operational efficiency and improve access to safe drinking water for thousands of residents.
The issue of high turbidity has been with us for over 9 years now. Somewhere 2020, 17, 18, we started experiencing deterioration in our water bodies.
The rehabilitation works will include desalting rivers and reservoirs, hydrographic surveys, sediment removal, and reservoir capacity assessment. The project will also cover emergency restoration works, stabilization of intake infrastructure, and continuous water quality monitoring.
Moving on, Ghana has made significant progress in promoting the right of persons with disabilities. In 2006, the country passed the Persons with Disability Act 715, demonstrating a commitment to equality for all. However, nearly 2 decades after its passage, almost 3 million Ghanaians living with disability, they're still waiting to fully enjoy their fundamental human rights as the passage of a revised bill into law continues to stall.
Nearly 2 decades after Ghana passed the Persons with Disability Act 2006, Act 715, implementation remains largely on paper, with millions of Ghanaians living with disabilities still excluded from mainstream social and economic life. The landmark legislation passed in 2006 mandated accessibility in public buildings, education, employment, and healthcare for persons with disabilities. But advocates argue that enforcement has been inconsistent, leaving many of the Act's provisions unmet.
The lived relatives of persons with disabilities starkly contradict the promises made in 2006. These barriers are the product of systems, institutions, and attitudes that have consistently failed to promote and ensure disability inclusion. The disability is not in the person. The disability lies in the barriers created by society. Disability is a human condition. It does not discriminate.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service's 2021 Population and Housing Census, approximately 8% of Ghana's population lives with some form of disability. The gaps remain significant. Access to education continues to be a major challenge as many children with disabilities are still unable to attend mainstream schools due to inadequate infrastructure and support systems. Employment opportunities also remain limited, while many public buildings still lack basic accessibility features in direct contravention of Act 715. Advocates are calling on government to fast-track the passage, implementation, and enforcement of the revised Persons with Disability Bill 2026.
We have engaged several, members of parliament. We have what we call the Disability Caucus that exists in parliament. We have engaged all the membership. We have engaged the leadership. What we are asking government to do is to urgently, approve it at cabinet and make sure that Parliament pass it within the sitting that happens before December.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals speak directly to inclusion. SDG 10 calls for reduced inequalities, while SDG 4 promotes inclusive and equitable quality education for all. Ghana's progress towards achieving these goals remains uneven, particularly regarding disability inclusion. Anita Agbota, TV3 News.
You're watching News 360. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. We have more stories for you, but after this break, please stay with us.
Hello, my name is Pamela from Customer Service. Please revalidate your account by texting your Ghana card number to 0500,000 247.
Hey, Abili, wabedim.
Madam, give me the numbers behind your ATM card. I'm calling from the head office.
An email was delivered across to our customers this morning.
Confirm if this is your bank account. 100,100,100.
Thanks for sending your bank card details.
Send the OTP now to avoid cancellation.
EcoBank will never call, email, send an SMS asking for your PIN, OTP, bank card, or Ghana card details.
Don't get played. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Hello, please, I'm calling from Customer Experience Center.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
me didn't tum. Mr. Femi Kakalika, just call me cockroach.
Now, Mr. Femi once now.
Hey, is that you? Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action. Maybe this Sasso spray. Mr. Femi Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso. tum preko.
Hello? I had to send you your momo ready.
Oh.
Ago here. Start Joshua.
There comes a time when money matters get tricky. When paying back feels hard, we get creative.
And tax analyst has warned, reacting to the near completion of government's external debt restructuring. Finance and tax analyst Nelson Kudjo Kwagbeji emphasized that safeguarding these hard-won gains is critical for the nation's financial future.
The Ministry of Finance has announced that Ghana has successfully completed the exchange of its outstanding Saderia notes. This major milestone resolves the final component of Ghana's sovereign bonded debt restructuring, bringing the country to the last stage of its external debt recovery. The transaction successfully restructures the remaining $117.8 million of bonds of the original $253.2 million issuance, originally issued to fund health sector projects. While celebrating the milestone, Kwagbeji issued a strong reminder that the structural vulnerability of the past must not be allowed to repeat itself.
Going forward, prudent debt management coupled with sustained macroeconomic gains must be our watchword. We must not go back to the days of unsustainable debt and domestic debt exchange program. I can tell you for a fact that the control environment, the ethical leadership, and the tone at the top has given we market players enough assurance that we will not get back to the days of unsustainable debt.
Despite his caution, the analyst offered high praise for the monetary and fiscal authorities.
In terms of our sovereign credit rating, currently we are rated B- with positive outlook, and so we expect this exchange to once again enhance our credit worthiness and by extension enhance our credit ratings. We expect this to boost in and deepen investor confidence within Ghana's capital market. We need to commend the finance minister and the governor, Dr. Johnson Isiama, for their coordinated effort in bringing us to the end of the road.
Now, consumers in Ghana should prepare for slight price adjustments at the pumps starting Thursday, July 16, as the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, projects marginal retail price increases for petrol and diesel during the second pricing window of July. According to a projection released by the Chamber, petrol price is expected to move up marginally by some 4.6% and diesel by some 3.3%.
The sharp rise in international fuel prices is heavily tied to escalating geopolitical conflicts in the Middle East involving Iran, the US and Israel. During the current pricing window, the cedi depreciated by approximately 2% against the dollar by the close of trading.
We're expecting petrol to move up marginally by some 4.6% and then diesel also by some 3.3%. LPG, on the other hand, we are expecting that oil marketing companies will retain prices across the board.
Head of Research and Training at the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, Paul Eric Ufori, expects oil marketing companies, OMCs, to respond positively by absorbing these minor increments and keeping prices stable across the board to protect consumer purchasing power.
The Gulf region alone supplies about 22% of the world energy needs, and so whenever there is any disruption in supply, invariably it affects the global market, which also pushes prices to go up. And then again, we are also imploring oil marketing companies to take a second look at their pricing, especially in the coming window, to give some level of cushioning to consumers by shelving some of their margins.
Whether oil marketing companies will heed this call to cushion consumers against these looming pump price hikes remains to be seen as the new pricing window takes effect this Thursday.
Let's bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market. Now, for the business segment here on News 360, I am Michael Obodu. Over to you, Portia.
Thank you so much, Michael. Coming up, the weather reports.
Weather News segment is brought to you by Syntex Tank.
We have more news coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. Now, the Minister for Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, believes it will be appropriate to hand Carlos Queiroz a new deal to lead the Black Stars beyond his current contract. The Portuguese tactician led Ghana to the round of 32 of the World Cup, earning 4 points in Group L. They eventually lost 1-0 to Colombia in the knockout round. Adams also broke down how Ghana's World Cup prize money of $13.5 million will be distributed.
If we have to give him, I would also join those who are calling for 2 years. So it will take you through to the AFCON. So there can be some level of stability. He can focus very well, prepare the team. And maybe we need to set him a target also for AFCON. For every country that qualified, you are given, I think, 9.5. Later on, they enhance it. And out of that 9.5, they will give you an advance for preparation. Okay. So that will be used for some of your friendlies and pre-tournament campaign expenses that you do. And all that will clearly be indicated. There will be accountability for all that. Funds that have been managed by the FA, they will do so. So the remainder that will come will go to the sports fund first. Then after that, based on agreements, what should go to maybe the FA for FA's activity, what should go into sports infrastructure development and what have you, would also go into that.
Now, the Ghana Football Association has announced that Goldfields Ghana Limited as the new headline sponsor of the Ghana Women's Premier League. The agreement marks a new chapter for the top flight women's competition, with Goldfields replacing Malta Guinness following the expiry of its sponsorship deal. The partnership is expected to inject fresh investments into the Women's Premier League as the GFA continues its drive to improve the competition's profile, competitiveness, and then long-term sustainability. Now, in a statement, the Football Association described the agreement as a significant milestone in its efforts to strengthen women's football through strategic partnerships. Now, they said, quote, the partnership represents a significant investment in the women's game and underscores the GFA's unwavering commitment to strengthening the Women's Premier League through strategic collaborations that enhance its competitiveness, visibility, and long-term sustainability. Now, to our final story, Arsenal have agreed a transfer fee to sell Belgium forward Leandro Trossard to Besiktas. The 31-year-old has been given permission to travel to Istanbul to undergo a medical. Now, Trossard, who is contracted until 2027 with the Gunners, joined the club from Brighton for £21 million plus add-ons in January 2023. Quote, negotiations have commenced with professional football player Leandro Trossard and his club Arsenal regarding his permanent transfer, the Turkish Super League side said in a statement. Now, he has scored 36 goals and registered 34 assists in 174 appearances at Arsenal, helping Mikel Arteta's side to win last season's Premier League title. That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. There's more on the bulletin after the break.
Good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Pop icon Madonna has added another remarkable achievement to her legendary career after her latest album, Confessions 2, debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 charts. The milestone marks her 10th #1 album in the United States, further cementing her status as one of the most successful recording artists in music history. The achievement also makes Madonna the first artist to secure a Billboard 200 #1 album in the 2020s after previously topping the chart in 3 other decades, that is in 1980s and 2000s and the 2010s. The feat highlights her rare ability to remain commercially relevant across generations and evolving music trends. Confessions 2 serves as a follow-up to her 2005 album Confessions on a dance floor and reunites Madonna with producer Stuart Price. The project explores themes of personal reflection, love, resilience, and her journey through decades in the entertainment industry. And now to some more stories. The highly anticipated Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, has achieved a historic milestone after officially crossing the $1 billion mark at the global box office. The film has become the first biographical movie in history to reach the $1 billion milestone, setting a new benchmark for music and entertainment films worldwide. Released in April 2026, the movie chronicles the extraordinary journey of the late king of pop from his early days as a member of Jackson 5 to his rise as one of the most influential and successful entertainers the world has ever seen. The film stars Jafar Jackson, Michael Jackson's nephew, in the lead role with direction from acclaimed filmmaker Antoine Fuqua. The record-breaking performance has placed Michael ahead of previous successful music biopics, including Bohemian Rhapsody, and has also surpassed other major biographical films to achieve the highest-grossing biopic of all time. The achievement highlights the enduring global appeal of Michael Jackson's music artistry and cultural influence decades after his passing. And before we go, the European Union has banned, I will definitely bring you that story later, but that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you so much, Noella. On the international front, the EU has banned the purchase, import and transfer of gold from Sudan, saying the trade has become a key source of financing for the country's civil war that erupted in April 2023. The conflict between the regular army and the paramilitary rapid support forces has triggered one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, forcing more than 14 million people from their homes. Sudan is one of Africa's largest gold producers, and its vast reserves have become a crucial source of revenue for both sides, according to rights groups. In more news tonight, China has expelled Ma Yingui, a former member from the ruling Communist Party, on corruption charges. This makes him the third sitting member of the elite decision-making body to be purged since 2025 as President Xi Jinping intensifies an anti-graft campaign. Ma, who also served as the deputy head of the Central Rural Work Leading Group, was placed under investigation in April over suspected serious violation of law and discipline.
And we're grateful for spending the last 1 hour with us. With us, more news on our website, 3news.com. This has been News 360. I'm Noble Crosby Annan.
And I am Portia Gabo. Good evening.